Welcome to our open day for the Bocconi Bachelors in International Economics and Management. Rather than welcome you in our big, beautiful aula magna, as I would normally do, today I'm going to welcome you here in my office, which at least is a bit more intimate, so you can see how the faculty here at Bocconi live. I'm Charlie Williams. I'm the director of the program in International Economics and Management. I've been director for a little over 1 year, but I've been a professor here at Bocconi in strategy for 9 years, teaching entrepreneurship, strategy, corporate strategy, strategy research, many elements of the program. And before that, I taught at Duke University and at University of Illinois in the United States. I'm American, as you might hear, so I've come internationally to join Bocconi from elsewhere because it's such an amazing institution. And I also have sat where you are today, in fact. So a couple of years ago, I went around Europe and the United States with my daughter, Madeline, to visit open days for universities around Europe and the US. And right now, my middle son, Oscar, is sitting in virtual events, learning about university programs that he's interested in as well. So I know what it's like to be on your side, trying to figure out what you want to study, what you want to do next. And if you're anything like my son and daughter, you are talented, you're interested in the world, you may have some idea of things you want to do, but you still don't completely know what that is. And a degree in international economics and management is nice because we're gonna get you relatively deep in a few topics, but you still have the breadth to go in many directions in terms of management, business, finance, economics, and policy. So if you're anything like our students, the answer to what do you want to do is, well, I want to do well. I want to be comfortable. I want opportunities for good jobs, but I also want to do that while doing good in the world. I would say that's a shared feeling right now. We really need to improve our planet, our society, our communities. And so I want to talk to you about some of the challenges our world faces. So think about these challenges. We've got things like the challenge of international cooperation and trade. We've got the challenges of what really will be the future of Italy, the economy, the society, and all of Europe. We've got the challenges of climate change. How are we going to reduce our impact on the climate, and how are we going to adapt to the changes that are already underway? And then we've got challenge like the football clubs of Milan. We have Inter and Milan, the athletic club. How did these two world-class Italian clubs end up owned by an American hedge fund and a Chinese investment arm? And do they really have the management capacity to build these teams back up to their world-class status? So all these sorts of world challenges or challenges that we face, these social challenges, one thing we can say about them is that they all share three elements with what are the three pillars of our bachelor's program. They are international. There's some large international, multinational component to the challenge. They involve economics, the powerful incentives, and really sometimes high-powered incentives of markets and finance are really driving the decisions of people. And then they involve management. How are we going to come up with a solution, a strategy, and then execute, follow through, and really deliver in very complex organizations and organizational systems and across organizational boundaries? So one thing we're very proud of with this program is that we'll deliver deep understanding in each of these three areas to really prepare you to engage with the world. Now, let me start with the first, or actually the last of those three pillars, the management side. So here's some data that comes from the World Management Survey, a really excellent survey where they literally called up managers of factories and hospitals and services around the world and did extensive interviews to really evaluate what kind of management, what level of management are they using in each of these different areas. We can see here that Italy ranks reasonably well, but not at the top. Not at the top of the charts here. When one of the scholars who'd done this came and visited us to share this research, he said, Italy is really in the Serie B. For those of you who are football fans, the second level of managerial class, and that's very important because when we look at the distribution of quality management, that's on the left side of this chart, might be reversed as you see it, or low quality management down toward those zeros, we find a couple of very important things. First of all, the higher the quality of the management reported by the company, the more successful it is financially. But it's not just success for the individual company, but it's success actually at the level of the nation. So it turns out that variation in country wealth, that is GDP per capita, is highly correlated with management quality in the individual companies. So we are actually starting to think about management as if it were like another technology. We know that technologies have transformed the world, have made our lives much easier, have made us more effective and much wealthier overall. The same is true of management. We really now can think of management as something that if you do it well, you will benefit personally, but you will also benefit the company or organization you work for and the country you live in. So this is association is not causation. Correlation is not causation, as you may well have learned in your high school statistics, but you certainly will have drilled into your head here at Bocconi. But these same researchers have actually gone on and begun to do experiments showing that this is actually causation, that you can train companies in these things. We actually have great scholars here at Bocconi who are doing experiments with entrepreneurs. If you train them to be more effective in exploring business models, they find really interesting new business models and are much more successful. So this is moving into the realm of causality. And it means that if you come to study management, you're going to learn something that benefits you, that benefits the organizations you go work for, and that benefits national economies and the world. Now, I want to step back for a moment and just sort of observe what I did there. So we turned to management, and I talked to you about the research and really the cutting edge of what we know about the role of management in companies and in national economies. And that really speaks to one of the core values of Bocconi, and that is knowledge that matters. If you'd actually come for this talk in person today, you would have walked by this sculpture, which we commissioned, that sits right in the piazza outside our university, because this is so fundamental to who we are. The creation and the engagement with really the most cutting edge understanding of economics, of management, and of organizations is really essential to who we are as an organization. So if you come here, you'll be exposed to the latest understanding based on both business practice and what research is really showing us in all areas that you study. Now, that is very important for us with our success in the world. This sort of leading knowledge, both in research, in engagement with companies, and in the classroom through world-class instruction, is really one of the things that's driven Bocconi to the top ranks of world universities. So you can see in Europe, in both management, in economics, and in accounting and finance, really among the best in Europe in all these areas. And just for business schools overall, Financial Times ranked us recently as fifth in Europe overall. So that really is kind of the heart of some of the value we add that you'd come and share if you joined us here. Let's talk for a moment about economics. So this was the second pillar that I showed you in the international economics and management. Now, when Bocconi was first founded, it was because a Milan entrepreneur found that he really needed better, more methodical help in forecasting what would be the demand in different areas, so he could decide how much should he order each year to keep up with demand as the economy grew, as his business grew. And he actually was one of the first to start hiring professional economists to do his forecasts, and he saw great benefits for his retail business. He was moving from, say, distribution into full-on retail, and was extraordinarily successful that way. So one of his goals when he founded Bocconi was for the professional training of managers based in economics. So really, economics is built into the early DNA of our organization right from the beginning, right from that time over 100 years ago when the university was founded. And so you're going to get very in-depth and very challenging training in economics at Bocconi. And it means that our students are some of the most quantitatively prepared and kind of hard-headed thinkers, as you'll see out there in the business world. And we really consider this part of the, say, superpower of our graduates and why they're actually so successful in the broader business and policy world. How about that final pillar of our program, international? Well, the program is international from day one. Our language of instruction is English. You'll get many faculty throughout the program. Since I've joined nearly 10 years ago, our management department has just become more and more international every year. We really hire some of the best from around the world, whether it's US, Latin America, other parts of Europe, Asia. We really have some of the best. You'll come into contact with students from 72 different countries. Across the different years of the BM program, we have 72 different nationalities of students in the program. It's quite exciting. And 18 regions of Italy. You should, I mean, having moved to Italy myself, you can't always understand from outside just how diverse the different regions of Italy are. And so if you're an Italian thinking of coming here, whether it's even just from the center of Milan right down the block, you should not underestimate how much value and what an unusual and important perspective that you bring to the program as well. So when you come to this program, you will get international experiences in the classroom from the faculty and the other students, in your teams as you're paired up with people from around the world, learning to work together across these different cultures and expectations, working style. In your study abroad programs in the third year, about 50% of our class pre-COVID and post-COVID, we're moving back into this era. I believe our international engagement will pick up again next year. About 50% or more of our class goes and studies abroad in North America, in Asia, in other parts of Europe, in Africa, Middle East, all over the world for very important and interesting experiences. And in internships, about 50% of students do internships as part of the Bocconi program for credit, and about 50% of those do international internships. Actually, I believe that the proportion that are international is even higher this year than that. So you will have international experiences from your formal experiences at Bocconi, even to all the informal experiences in the student associations and in socializing around Milan with your classmates. It will be an incredibly international experience. So, let's step back. How is this program going to really prepare you to become a successful manager? Well, effective manager really tends to draw on 5 different mindsets. That is the analytical. How do you think about problems? How do you break them down into components and really come up with valuable solutions? Into reflective, and this is very important and challenging. I was in a meeting with our stakeholders, many of the companies who hire lots of our graduates who come out of our programs, and they were saying learning from failure is one of the most important things they need in their early managers, because you're not going to do everything perfectly when you go out in the world. And reflection, understanding, here's what I did, here's what it meant, here's what happens, and here's how I could change it for the future, is really an essential part of building on your skills, starting with the amazing talents and skills you have, and then building to bring them to a new level, whether that's inside the university program or after you leave us. You need to be action-oriented. All of our students are, very driven to make an impact, to do things, to get going and get active in the world. You need to be collaborative. You need to be very effective at working with others and respecting the dynamics of groups, the emotional expectations that all of us bring to groups. You need to be very global in your mindsets. I know from interacting with students, from Italian to students from outside Italy, every single one both has had experiences outside of their home country and is really driven to understand and engage with the world around us. So the essence of our undergraduate program is to develop those different mindsets in each of you as you go through this program. So going through the program, you will master management tools. That's what's expected by companies especially companies with significant international exposure, whether they're Italian international student companies, multinationals active here in Europe or abroad. The content is designed really to give you solid preparation in international economics, international management, and give you a strong, say, comparative perspective on international events. You will tend to use this comparative approach where you really start to understand, especially across Europe, what are the different approaches of countries in Europe, and then broadening from there. And of course, as I mentioned, you will study in a very international class. So let's drill in a little deeper. What will you study when you're at Bocconi? Well, we separate out across these different areas. You will acquire understanding of the basic managerial functions across your 3 years. You'll get background in marketing, organizations, technology, accounting. You'll get a lot of training in economics and financial systems. Everyone comes out of Bocconi very carefully trained in economics and finance, whether you're in management or in some other program. You will develop quantitative methods for applied analysis and a basic knowledge of legal methods as well. So those are really the foundations of our program. And they vary over the 3 years. So in the first year, we'll really put the fundamentals together. In the second year, you'll end up specializing. You go more deeply in finance, accounting, acquiring a second foreign language. We have some soft skills, teamwork, and leadership activities as well. And then in the third year, you really start to broaden out. You have elective courses, some choice in the program. This is when most students get their internship and their exchange experience. And then all students to graduate do a final report together with a faculty advisor on some topic of their choosing and their interest. So here's what that means in more detail. Here's our study plan. In the first year, you'll get introduction to management and then a lot of mathematics and economics. And let me tell you, even if you are quite successful in mathematics, say in an international program, an international baccalaureate, we have a very challenging math curriculum. I do hear the sort of howls of pain as people are studying and preparing for the exams in our quantitative modules. It's quite intense. And our approach to economics is quite intense as well. In addition, in that first year, everyone now studies computer science through the language of Python, which is generally considered a very good introductory language and good place for managing a lot of different digital tools. We're really trying to develop digital managers for the next generation of management. As our organizations transition to being fully digital, and boy, during COVID, did that happen a lot more. You really need tools. You don't need to be an expert programmer, but you need to have an understanding of the digital tools. So we're trying to give our students more of an introduction to that. In the first year, you also acquire your first foreign language. If you come in as, say, a native speaker of Italian, that first foreign language must be English. And by the time you leave, you have to test out at a C1 level by the European system. If you come in as a native English speaker, then your first foreign language needs to be Italian, and you need to test out by the end at B2 level, so not quite as high as English. In the second year, we go deeper in economics, accounting, finance, the legal system, and this is also when we give some leadership and managerial skills, and you're generally expected to acquire that second foreign language, which is usually one other European language. Finally, the third year is really, as I said, where you kind of deepen, you choose your specialization, you have some applications for management, you choose some courses across organization theory, marketing, technology and innovation, accounting. Everyone gets some training in corporate social responsibility and business ethics. And then there's other room for business strategy, globalization, some other electives, and this final paper. This also, I'll remind you, is when most students also spend some time in internships and studying abroad as well. So it's only a 3-year program, shorter than, say, what I'm used to from the United States model, where programs are all 4 years. We squeeze a lot into those 3 years. You will be busy throughout. It's quite intensive. And this just gives you a picture. So when the students study abroad in this third year, where do they go? Well, you can see we have a lot of students going to North America, a lot to Asia, which includes China, India, but also some of the smaller Southeast Asian countries, Thailand, Vietnam, and others. A fair number are studying in other places around Europe, whether that's Vienna, Copenhagen, UK, and others. And then, of course, some students make it to Latin America, Oceania, which is Australia, New Zealand, and other parts of the world as well. So we really have students going off to study all over. We encourage even our international students who sometimes say, well, I've come to Italy, that's my international experience. We really encourage all students to go get this study abroad experience. So you're really adding yet another perspective and understanding into your toolkit. Now, you'll spend a lot of time in a classroom and studying and preparing, but Bocconi is not all work. There are really active student associations that are a very important part of the experience as well. We have clubs that range from, say, pre-professional clubs like the entrepreneurship club, the finance club. We have ones who are devoted to different issues like sustainability or say diversity and representation. And this is one that I had the honor of working with a couple of years ago. I was the chair of our TEDx committee, and the president was a student from the BM program. We worked hard to put on a TEDx event where the theme was disconnect. And this shows me and the student leaders from the organization. And actually during one of the breaks, or kind of during one of the transitions, we had a tango team. So there's the tango dancers who performed. You can see our aula magna, where this event, this Open Days event usually happens, is there on the screen when we were all set up for that TEDx event. So there's, the sort of activities you can do outside of the classroom are really well developed and quite interesting. And I tell you, I learned a lot going through that process of trying to put on a professional event at this level. And we worked really closely together, the faculty, the students, the professional staff of Bocconi. It's really quite an amazing experience to go through. All right, so starting to wrap up here, let's just start to sum up. Why should you really consider, as you're looking around, trying to decide what you should do for your university years, what are some of the reasons you should consider the Bocconi BM? Well, very international experience with half students from outside Italy and half from inside Italy, which is a draw for many international students. A very international faculty offering, even our Italian faculty, most of them have PhDs from abroad, have maybe spent time as faculty at universities, whether it's in the United States or other parts of Europe as well. So a super international faculty, a multimedia learning digital experience. We all had to move online together this year, and it's really sort of moved our skills up together. We plan to build on that as we move back into a more normal life. The digital delivery of material will still be a very important part of what we do. An interactive teaching model overall, lots of chances to work together with groups, and a comparative approach to international studies. So if you come study in the what we call the BM program, the Bachelor's of International Economics and Management, you'll get rigorous academic training in management with a solid foundation for a wide range of career paths. Now, you should understand, especially as this is the presentation, I believe, well, no, it's for both an Italian and an international audience, that one thing you should understand, in Italy, the majority of university graduates with these shorter 3-year program, the majority do go on to study in 1 or 2-year master's programs after that. So the majority of our graduates go on to Master of Science programs, so master's programs, but those not requiring previous work experience. And they go on to the best programs in the world. Many go on to Bocconi master's programs because we really do provide many of the best in the world, but they go to many of the best in the world throughout Europe and the US as well. In addition, we have students going off to work in various companies immediately after graduating. We have them working in, say, top technology and consumer brands like Apple, L'Oreal, Pirelli, in technology, at Unilever, Barilla, Luxottica, multinational based right here in Milan, in many, many different functional areas, from marketing to finance to consulting to investment banking. So a very, very wide range of experiences after the Bocconi degree. So that's it from my perspective. We'll be here now to answer your questions, to whatever questions you have about the program, about applications. We're happy to engage with you. Very happy that you came and shared this time with us, so I could tell you a little bit about our program. And I wish you the best of luck in visiting lots of programs, learning about them, and starting the next stage of your educational experience.